I'll just pick up on culture days. That's not common vernacular, certainly within the wider community. Can you just explain what that is and specifically how you go about running them and what you found really useful? Because they're quite an investment.
They are huge. Yeah. Look, it's definitely a big investment. We're currently doing 2 per year. So we tend to do one. Well, sorry, I should say we do 2 culture days, and then we have a big Christmas party where it's fun and getting together and all the rest of it. But a culture day to me, it shouldn't be a review. It shouldn't be. It should be more about team building. Usually it includes doing some sort of activity. So the last one we did back in March, we actually went to a local self-defense studio and kind of learnt some self-defense techniques out in the big bad world. We then came back to the clinic and it was actually run by our senior ex-phys and one of our senior physios, and they put on the day. So we want to kind of give them some ownership around this. So it's not just the business owner just preaching over and over again. And we talked about, like, what do we feel like we're doing really well? What are some things we would like to try and implement moving forward? And what are some things we think we could stop doing that aren't really serving their purpose and the stress they're creating? And then we typically go out for dinner afterwards. So, and that's obviously, we put that all on. So we shut the clinic for half a day generally. And then as clinic owners, we pay for all that to go on. So the staff feel like they're, really getting something out of it.
Commercially, how do you justify that? I mean, take us back maybe even to your first one where you're like, we're going to shut down the clinic for a half day. Some people do it a full day. Everyone's off, but we're going to do this. How do you justify that, review that in the subsequent weeks and months to say, that was worthwhile?
The key is with these sorts of days is you really want people to feel like they're getting something out of it. You just don't want to feel like, okay, we're ticking a box. It's like, oh yeah, we're progressive. We're a progressive team because we do culture days. And that's always to me been that head in my head after it. Like, was it worth it? Did we really get enough out of it? Or were we really just reiterating what we talked about last time? And I think the financial benefit, I look at it as like, hey, when we budget out the year, we factor in that we're only really working 46 weeks a year. So as part of that, I know if we're working, say, maybe 47 and a half, 48 weeks a year, there is that little bit of leeway there. I have looked at potentially bringing someone in externally to talk. The people I've looked at would be flying from interstate. So that's a huge commercial expense to fly them in, put them in accommodation, pay for their services. So we're not quite at that level yet, but that's where we've kind of thought about potentially going in the future. But I do feel like whether official culture days are necessary or whether it's just having more regular team catch-ups where you might go to a brewery and have a chat and work on some things. But yeah, it's a constantly evolving thing.